Well, Court, listen, you've been doing this for a long time for sure, man. You're a veteran of the game at this point, but when you get a name like Carlos Condit, does that kind of do something for you?
Oh, yeah. So, I was pretty excited when I fought Jeremy Horn. It was like it was in my first year of competition, and it was like my 5th or 6th fight, and I thought like whoa, that's pretty, this is pretty crazy. And I don't know if I would say I was excited. I was more like nervous,
Right.
I think he just fought Chuck for the UFC light heavyweight title, and then I was just this kid in Clearfield, Utah, getting ready to do some MMA, you know, and then I was fighting him. And then when I got an opportunity for this one, man, I was just like blown away. Like I can't say in my entire career that I've been like excited for a fight. More nerves, anxious, like, okay, it's time to go. But this one, I was like, damn, this is going to be awesome.
That's cool. I feel like that's the way the fans are feeling. Are you noticing that feedback? Because
yes,
we were talking to people.
Lots.
It's like, yeah, this is like the almost like a main event in some ways.
Exactly. And I mean, anybody who knows MMA knows Carlos Condit. He's like a senior in the game. He always has badass fights. He always brings it, and I feel like I'm the same way. Like I've never not brought it. Ever. And in my entire career I've been stopped one time, and my hat's off to him for doing it, you know. But it's just like I think it's gonna be awesome. It's definitely gonna be awesome for the fans.
Yeah, no question. It's been about a year since we have a chance to see you fight, so I know this has been kind of a crazy time. What's been going on? I mean, has it been a strategic time away, or has it just been COVID related, or what's been going on the past year?
No, it's you know, like in the fall last year, I helped out with the wrestling season with quite a few of the high schools around the area, and I was real busy speaking for the McGee project and speaking to youth and like doing, you know, the recovery stuff. And then it was like, okay, let's get ready to fight, but no opponent. Let's get ready to fight, no opponent. And then COVID hit, and I have a gym in my house. I have a prowler, old school stuff, you know, 1,000 pounds worth of weights, kettlebells, assault bikes, rowers, and I have a gym. And I have my son, and he's 13, but he's 150, 160 pounds. And so he's kind of my drilling partner for striking and for wrestling and just more to help him and stuff. But now he's like starting to pick it up and starting to land some shots and shoot on me real hard. And so I have him, and you know, we were completely quarantined. But man, I started you know, just like on a fight routine. Obviously just by myself with, you know, my son, or maybe one partner here or there, just so there wasn't any contamination issues at the house. My wife's pregnant too, so we've got our 3rd little boy on the way. So we had to make sure to, like, you know, keep real tight, and then the kids did all their school at home. So it's been like a regular schedule. And then when I got this opportunity, of course I picked it up, and I had to go to a gym in Salt Lake for like 3 to 4 practices a week, but it was just close, tight-knit people, and just so happens like 2 of my training partners are, you know, really, really close to the same fighting style as Carlos, so it worked out great. So I didn't travel. I didn't go to Mark Montoya's or John Hackelman's gym. I ended up doing like 3 or 4 of my practices a week in Salt Lake, which is about 50 miles from where I live. So other than that, all the practices were at my house with Shane Stoneman, my boxing coach, a guy who I've been with for about 10 years, but has struggled with addiction. He's coming up on a year of sobriety. So for the last year, I've been working with a boxing coach that I worked with before Howard Davis Jr. Until his passing. And so it's just like, it's worked out better than I could have planned it myself. So the training has been incredible. The COVID time, it's like I got to spend a tremendous amount of time with my family. Yeah, it was a year away from the octagon, but it's kind of like, you know, things got postponed. I was in training, you know, I had the whole wrestling season with the kids. I had, you know, and it was just like, it couldn't have worked out better. And then the last 67 practices that I've had have been like with Shane Stoneman, with Ramsey Nidge, with my team, you know, that I've had for over a decade.
That's awesome.
And it's been awesome.
That's That's awesome. Last thing for me, let me just ask. I mean, obviously, this fight itself is a pretty good one. I mean, everybody's excited for it.
Yeah.
But, where do you feel like overall your career? Like, what are the goals? You've had some ups and downs lately, but you've been around the game for a long time at this point. I mean, are there things you're trying to tick off in terms of accomplishments, or I mean, what is the plan for you right now?
So I'm always grinding. I'm always. I put more time in. I have harder practices. Like, I always push it past the limit. And I think sometimes I overexhaust myself before the fight. And in my career, I feel like the fight has been part of my training rather than I'm training for a fight. And so the way I look at it, it's like, I don't know, I've maybe had 50 rounds at the highest level in the world. And I'm like, well, I have all this experience and I've had good fights and tough fights and bad cuts and injuries. And, it's like I've had this abundance of experience. And I'm like, man, dude, maybe I just need to train for my fight and just kind of let it go this time. Like, not, free myself a little bit and let it go. I'm not going to say have fun with it, but have fun with it. Because when you step in the cage with me, I'm not going there to have fun. I'm going there to fight you, and I'm going there to find a way to win. So this time, I'm going to free it up a little bit, get it loose, and show a little more.
How old are your kids?
So 10 is my youngest on weight cut day. So on the 2nd, he turns 10.
Wow.
And I've done this 3 times before, either weighing in or fighting on his birthday. But he turns 10, and then my oldest boy, Isaac, is 13.
So what do you tell the younger ones about, what if they go, how come we can't go hang out with their friends? How come we can't go to school?
Oh.
Did you have that conversation with them?
Yeah, we've had that. Me and my wife, Chelsea, have had that conversation, especially for the last couple months, where, it's been tough because in Utah and where we live in Utah Valley, it's kind of mountainous, and it doesn't seem like a ton has really shut down. I mean, of course, you have to wear a mask and you have to do this and that, but with the friends and going to the trampoline house and going, it's we tried to keep it. We live right on a river, so they've been swimming in the river quite a bit all summer and doing outdoor, and we fish a lot, and we're outdoorsy. We've got a dog that we run every day, and for the last couple months, we've said hey, listen, if I get COVID, I can't go fight, and my only guarantee for pay is that I make weight and I step in that cage. And so, sorry guys, it's gonna be boring for the next couple of months until I go, and then we can kind of free it up with the friends. But they've had play dates, and they have a few friends. My youngest son plays soccer, and my oldest son wrestles, so his season's kind of messed up, and he can't go to club. So after this season's over, I think I'm gonna have him go to the high school and wrestle with the high school kids for the whole season.
Is school virtual?
So my youngest son in the elementary schools, they are essentially half days and twice a week, and then the other 2 days are at home online. And they just opened him up the day I left to a full school schedule. So he essentially has I think it's 4 days, so they all have Friday off, and it's half days, but they're at school. And then my oldest son is in middle school, and he's 2 days a week online, 2 days a week at school. And it's only half of the student body.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's kind of, it's not like here.
Sure.
I feel like we're in Chernobyl. It's like the Truman Show, but.
And then obviously everyone knows about your past and the story and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but we've interviewed Jared Gordon and stuff, and he had this inner battle with himself when he found out his old dealer died and he didn't know what to do. When you hear a fellow fighter like that, do you really remember moments of your own life where you went through stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I have, especially early in the first 3 or 4 years of my recovery, I was only surrounded by people in recovery. other than my wife, and at the time, like I didn't have a real close relationship with my family because I had shut everybody out. And so over these last couple of years, I've learned to put my recovery, not put my recovery first, but put my recovery with, because now I got married, now I had kids, now I had friends outside of recovery. It's like all of a sudden and then I became a professional athlete by winning the Ultimate Fighter, and then all of a sudden, like I've had 22 guys that I've worked with personally for a healthy length of time that have passed away, that I've attended all 22 of their funerals. And of course I've lost a lot of friends. I have another friend that I went to high school with, and we had kind of the same friend group, and we were like a cryotherapy place, and I hadn't seen him for a while, and he's had some success. His name's Dave Sparks, the Sparks Motors guy, Diesel Brothers guy, and he, me and him, like between me and him, like we had about 40 friends accidentally overdose, and then there was a couple of suicides related to substance abuse, and that's like my graduating class at high school. So like quite a few guys that, people that we knew. But reliving those experiences through other people's experiences do happen. But I'm definitely attracted to the people who are in recovery. And also, it's like I've got over 14 years of continued sobriety. April 16th, 2006, my sobriety date. And I live life one day at a time. I try and stay in the moment, and I'm heavily based in recovery. I started speaking. I speak. I've spoke to a couple 100,000 students, like high school students, at great big assemblies and then small classrooms, and it's like a lot of my contact with people, the unfortunate side of addiction is the death side of it. So things like that do remind me of those things.
This might be a weird question, but does it ever get easier? Like after the 20th, like not easier, but like it's always gonna hurt, but like I don't know.
Like the passing of people,
yeah,
or the reminders.
The passing of people. I don't know how to word it, but.
I wouldn't say like easier. It's sad, but it also brings me gratitude for my recovery. So, and also I can bring hope. Especially with somebody that I'm close to, or somebody that I can communicate with social media. It's easy to communicate with people, and so a lot of times people will reach out and ask questions, and I have experiences working with families who have lost sons. It's like I still keep in contact with a couple of moms who I worked with their sons for several years, and then they had an accidental overdose, and so I still keep in touch with them, and kind of through my experiences with my family, rebuilding my relationship, the relationships that I've built, now I'm able to give them hope, that their son or daughter wasn't lost in vain, and that like the positive side of their life will be shined through maybe my experiences of standing up and fighting on the biggest stage in the world. So yeah.
A bit of a change of gears here, but I was
Yep.
for you, what if someone who didn't know the sport came in and you had to tell them what's the definitive Carlos Condit fight that someone should watch?
We're both exciting. We're both.
But which individual Carlos Condit fight would you make them watch to sum up what Carlos Condit is, who he is as a fighter?
I don't know. The Lawler fight was a pretty good one, right? There you go. Yeah.
It's like one of the greatest fights ever.
Yeah, man.
He won that fight.
It was a decision loss, right?
Yeah, very controversial.
Yeah, controversial decision loss. Yeah, I feel like he outlanded.
It was power versus.
Yeah, power versus like volume. Yeah, lots of kicks. But with Lawler, like I have a teammate who's exactly like Lawler, and he's been in and out of the gym and kind of moved from different state to state. But man, he cracks and he's a southpaw. And that's that we're moving, and then all of a sudden you get lit up, and it's like, whoa, what'd I get hit with, And so, like if I put myself in his position, like that fight is like was an incredible fight, and so I'd probably show them that one. Yep.
You said something that really caught my attention earlier, which was very similar to like Nick Diaz's philosophy to fighting, which is fighting isn't fun.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was wondering, has there ever been a time where you're inside the octagon and it has been fun?
I wouldn't say fun. Exciting, yeah. But man, like, I think back to my first fight in the Ultimate Fighter house, which still to this day is the toughest fight that I had. And it was in a room like this big, you know, and we didn't have our coaches. It was a strange environment, you know, and I'd been with a couple of the same guys for, I don't know, 4 years on the local circuit, and then I get my opportunity. I'd had a big fight in a big arena, but it's like I went into the small room and we had the small cage, and like it was quiet and you could hear everybody talking, and it was like Dana White, Lorenzo Fertitta, Mike Tyson was there, and like Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz. So it's like the most important people you could compete well in front of. And
That was one of your rivals as well.
yeah, yep. And then it's like I fought Seth Baczynski, who's like super tough. I mean, he had, you know, a 10-year career in the UFC. And so like, and just a gnarly fight. And right off the bat, we were going at it hard. And it was the first time I'd been dropped in a fight. He caught me with like an overhand right over a lazy jab or something, and just like boom, like a chair, boom. And I was like back in the fight. But in the fight, mentally, I was like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, you know what, man, I'll go back, I'll be a plumber, it'll be okay. So I was in my head having this conversation. And then after I got dropped and I got back up, like, I don't know, it was like there was no quit. And it was like God picked me up and kicked me in the ass and was like, hey, dude, you got to keep fighting. So I keep fighting, and I don't know, a few minutes later maybe, I double leg him and clear the hips, right? And I land on his knee, and I broke my sternum, right? I cracked like 6 ribs and broke my sternum. And I broke my sternum before when I overdosed and died. They did CPR for like 16 minutes off and on, right? And so they broke my sternum before. So when I came out of the coma, I remember the pain that I had in my chest and like these big bruises. And so in the house, I had a broke sternum. It wasn't as bad as when they did CPR, but I broke my sternum, and like we fought, and he got up, and I was like, whoa, whoa. And I remember Tito was like, he's gassed. And I condition as hard as anybody I've ever met in my entire career. And I was like, I'm not gassed, my chest hurts, you know, and like I keep fighting, you know, and then I get down and they raise the hand, and it was like one of the most mentally and physically tough fights I've ever had. And maybe it's because under the pressure, because you're in a house, you had to cut weight in a room. It was like a strange, like way stranger than anything I'd ever been before. Now we got this here. But outside of that, yeah, I wouldn't identify it as fun. I come to fight. In my brain, like I'm coming there to hurt you. I'm coming there to like crush your will to want to compete. And for me, sometimes it's not even, oh, we're in an MMA fight. Like we're really fighting. The little breaks in between get frustrating. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's just keep going until this thing's done. But we obviously, but mentally, like when I'm training, sometimes I'm in that headspace. So.
It's a great answer. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
cool, man.